She didn't roll over when her husband's favorites amassed influence and threatened her position.
Edward II's reign was marked by the fact that he was easily manipulated by his confidantes. The most formidable of them was Despenser, a young nobleman who had the king's complete attention. Worse, Despenser was actively trying to get Isabella out of the picture. He limited Isabella's access to her own husband and insulted her by arranging for the confiscation of her estates and dismissal of her servants. Worst of all, he even had the 4 royal children removed from Isabella's custody and placed into his own, further isolating her from her family. Despenser may have been trying to obtain an annulment for Edward getting Isabella out of the picture completely. To Isabella, these moves were akin to acts of war. In a few more years, she would have her revenge by overthrowing her husband's regime and gave Hugh Despenser a gruesome traitor's death.
Her marriage wasn't always the disaster that Braveheart makes it out to be.
At the tender age of 12, Isabella, a French princess, married King Edward II in 1308. The marriage admittedly wasn't always a happy one, and by the 1320s it had completely collapsed. Edward's relationships with male favorites and probable lovers certainly didn't help their marriage and contributed to a rupture between the couple. Indeed, Braveheart uses this information to paint Edward II as a weak leader who has no interest in his wife. Their actual relationship was more complex. The two appeared to have genuine, affectionate feelings for one another for at least part of their marriage. Had Braveheart been a different film, Isabella and Edward's marriage may have been portrayed for what it actually was, an initially loving relationship that became more complicated and contentious over time. There are even suggestions that they had a functional sex life. After all, they had 4 children over the course of their marriage. She dramatically wore widow's clothes to denounce her husband's relationship with his favorite. When Isabella and Edward married in January 1308, he was already close with Piers Gaveston. Historians still debate whether or not the relationship was sexual. At the very least, it was personally and politically close. Many felt that Gaveston had undue influence over the king, and the relationship alienated many in court, including Queen Isabella. In 1308, at Edward's coronation banquet, Isabella's family actually left the festivities because they were so insulted that the king lavished more attention on Gaveston than his young bride. Though Edward was bereft when Gaveston was executed in 1312, it is easy to imagine that Isabella didn't shed many tears. But yet another so-called favorite began to enter Edward's orbit several years later. Hugh Despenser was even worse than Piers Gaveston. Despenser had become so influential and alienated Queen Isabella so much that she blamed him for creating an irreparable rift in her marriage. She even went so far as to wear widow's clothes that, according to historian Catherine Warner, publicly portrayed her as a woman in mourning for the loss of her husband and the death of her marriage.
She definitely did not have an affair or a love child with William Wallace.
Braveheart tells many historical falsehoods, but probably the most egregious, laughable lie is that Queen Isabella had an affair with William Wallace and bore him a child. The two historical figures never met. She didn't arrive on the island of Great Britain until 1308, 3 long years after Wallace received a sickening traitor's death. Moreover, she was 12 at the time of his death. The film unfairly refashions Queen Isabella's story and reduces her a woman of immense courage, complexity, and charisma to William Wallace's love interest, a neglected wife who blossoms under the romantic attention of a rugged Scottish warrior. Moreover, the film suggests that King Edward.The was actually the love child between Queen Isabella and William Wallace. Since Wallace was long dead when Isabella conceived the future king in the late winter of 1312,
she was such a powerhouse that her own son had to keep her under house arrest.
after deposing her husband, Isabella ruled as regent for 4 years on behalf of her son, Edward.The. By 1330, her son was an ambitious 17-year-old who was chomping at the bit to get full reign of his kingdom. He decided to launch his own coup against his mother and Roger Mortimer. Though he quickly disposed of Mortimer, he had to keep Isabella under house arrest for 2 years at Windsor Castle. Mother and son apparently let bygones be bygones and quickly made up. The two even spent Christmas together less than a month after Roger Mortimer's execution. Isabella remained a popular, colorful member of Edward's family and kingdom until her death in 1358.
She led a successful invasion of England.
In the 1320s, Isabella was becoming increasingly frustrated with her husband's behavior and dependence on his favorite, Hugh Despenser. The problem was that he wasn't just alienating her, he was also alienating plenty of nobles and commoners, who loathed Hugh Despenser's influence and family. So, with the help of her lover Roger Mortimer, Queen Isabella took matters into her own hands. In September 1326, Isabella and Roger launched an invasion of England from France. As they proceeded across England, it was clear that theirs was the popular cause, as they attracted tons of supporters who joined them in an effort to end Edward.I's reign. By the end of the year, Edward was deposed.
Reports of Isabella killing her husband by sticking a red-hot poker up his butt have been greatly exaggerated.
After forcing her husband's abdication in early 1327, Queen Isabella and Roger Mortimer imprisoned Edward in a series of castles until his death in September 1327. No one really knows how King Edward.II died, or if he even really died in 1327 at all. One story says that under Isabella and Roger Mortimer's orders, Edward got a ridiculous, brutal death that seemed to mirror allegations of his gay liaisons. He was supposedly assassinated by having a red-hot poker shoved up his rear to scorch his insides. Historians typically dismiss this as simply an urban legend, and other rumors abound. There is still no consensus over what exactly happened to Edward.II or even if Isabella had anything to do with it.
She overthrew her husband with the help of her lover.
She overthrew her husband with the help of her lover.
Hey guys, thank you so much for the support and likes and comments down below, and also thank you so much for watching, and I look forward to see you in the next video. Then take care.